What's going on? Let me turn this down so hopefully y'all can still hear me. We're back. So the name is Brandon. For the past 7-8 years, I've been teaching myself how to cook from scratch. So not only going vegan, plant-based, but also paying attention to how food affects my body, whether it's how, like, the types of foods I reach for, allergies I may not have been aware of to begin with, and, being more conscious about the food choices that I choose to consume. So, welcome to the channel. This channel is be about using cooking, using the kitchen as a sanctuary or spiritual practice. Cooking, getting in the kitchen just to begin with, a little haberdashery of information in relation to cooking, spirituality, and just things that I come across and I'm learning about. Alright, so this video is going to be titled, "Is It Me That's Hungry?" The gist of it is the psychology of food. Alright, so let's get started. We all view food differently. Some of us eat for pleasure, others might eat to cope with emotional instabilities, while another group may only care for food as fuel and not actually care for the way that it tastes. Depending on our own perspectives, goals, conditionings, how we approach food will vary from person to person. So with that in mind, like I said, we're going to talk about the psychology of food and question, is it me that's really hungry? So what I'm going to start with is emotional eating, emotions, and digestion. So emotional eating is the act of eating food in order to deal with or process feelings. This is not only with negative emotions, though, as it can also occur when we are joyous and happy. It can also take place out of boredom to give ourselves something to do. Emotional hunger, as opposed to you actually needing to eat some food, emotional hunger does not originate in the stomach. Your emotions come from the thoughts that you're having. So the mental images, the thoughts that you're having are causing you to have a physiological sensation that will come about as stresses, happiness, anger, things of that nature. And then you have a response to that. Some people might take to trying to figure out, some people may take to journaling those emotions out, finding healthier ways to cope with it, while others may turn to projecting that out, or they may in turn go to eating. And the reason I'm just going to jump to saying that some people will choose to cope with what they're dealing with by eating is because digestion is the physical counterpart to mentally processing information. So the way you take in an idea, try to figure it out, or take in a math problem, try to figure it out, is the same way you would take in chocolate, strawberries, raspberries, food, and digest that, the learning process, to figure out how it can be used in your life. The body taking those nutrients and figuring out how it's going to power the body. A person will experience thoughts on the negative polarity and may find themselves in a fight or flight response, feeling as though their life is being threatened. Thus, they reach for food like chips or candy in order to alleviate those feelings and feel safe once more. The food choices then become recognized as subconscious symbols, and it is possible for the symbol to work in one of two ways. The person will respond to their thoughts or their environment by finding a food to consume in order to cope with what's going on, or the person may reach for the food out of proximity, and the subconscious mind will then create a reality in which that food will be needed. So let me break that down. Something's got me stressed, something's got me angry, something's got me sad. The thing I'm going to do, I'm going to reach for a bag of chips, especially out of anger or out of stress. Chips for me, symbol like that crunching, that very abrasive action represents fighting. So, like, I'm not putting my hands on nobody, but I'm aggressively crunching and breaking something down with, like chips. And then there's a sound that also comes with it. It's almost like gaining a victory in a way. So now, in the event that I'm not stressing, I'm not angry, what may occur is that I'll reach for a bag of chips just because they're there, or because I'm out and about and I'm, just gotta grab a snack. And I'm sending a signal out to the universe that's saying, hey, I'm grabbing a bag of chips. This is how I want to feel. So create that around me. So once I'm done eating the bag of chips, or, before I even get a chance to actually open them, here comes a phone call with something that's pissing me off. Here comes a lady that's driving crazy in the road or whatever, and I'm just like, yo, like, what the fuck is going on? Stuck in traffic. What the fuck is going on? None of this was happening beforehand. But I'm sending out a message to the universe that's saying, hey, this is how I want to feel, so show me that. So this is I'm saying it's a subconscious symbol because it's no longer anything that you have to think about. It's engraved in your brain, the association with a certain food with a certain emotion. Like I said, for me, chips with anger. For somebody else, ice cream or chocolates with loneliness or with sadness, however you slice it up. So digestion is like the physical counterpart to understanding and processing information. Now, you can't just take in a whole bunch of information at once and then expect to be able to use it right away or even understand it. So you also can't expect the stomach to operate properly if it's been stuffed beyond its limits. So the nutrients won't be processed correctly and you end up overloading the system, which is causing you to go to sleep, or what we refer to as the itis. So how does stress impact the stomach even if we've already begun to consume the comfort foods? Stress can lead to a variety of intestinal problems like cramping, bloating. Stress is also a contributor to a loss of appetite. And with a loss of appetite, the stomach is not ready to process food once you start to feel it. This causes digestion to take place at a much slower pace than it normally would. Stress causes many other factors, all related to the body needing to be ready to deal with life-threatening situations, such as tightening of the stomach, making sure that, well, I'll leave it at that. I've got sources written in here, but I'm not directly reading from those sources. I just have them written down so I know that where I got them from. So let me go back to, when you take in a bunch of information all at once, you're not going to be able to just turn around and start using it. All right? You take in a little bit here, a little bit there, and then you see if it applies to your life. If it don't, you let it go. But when you spend 24 hours just shoving your brain full of information, what you going to do with it? They even say, like, you spend an hour, like 45 minutes to an hour of actually learning, and then you move on to the next thing. Spend an hour, 45 minutes working on a painting or a drawing, and then, like, take a step back for a minute. When you spend all day snacking and eating, knocking it back, drinking, the stomach physically cannot process all of that food. The stomach cannot digest all of that food. So this is going to cause everything to move a whole lot. You do not need to drive back that goddamn far now. I'm sitting in the parking lot, sorry. You can't process all of that information, you can't process all of that food at once. So why on earth would you put yourself through that? So I'll actually come back to that in a little bit too. All of that causes you to shut down. That way the body can process all of that food. This is what we refer to as the itis. You end up with a lot of gas and bloating, and once again, your stomach has a physical limit to where it can go to. And when you can start paying attention to that limit, then you can deal with things like weight loss, or even portioning out meals for the week. When you understand, like, hey, this is, like, I can't eat as much as I was beforehand, making better food choices for ourselves. And now you're not allowing food to run you. You're more in control of what you're consuming and the amount. So, how conditioning affects our food choices. When we don't take the time to be conscious about the foods we eat, we are subject to the conditions placed on us by our families, our environment, what we see on social media and TV, and we don't take the time to listen to what our soul wants to eat or what our body can truly handle. When you live under a caretaker that does nothing but eat greasy foods and cakes, then that's exactly what you're going to grow up eating. When what's around the corner, or when what's around you where you live at is only corner stores with some backfruit fried chicken, candy pops, and sodas, the grocery store up the street never has fresh produce but continuously is stocked up on chips, soda, and ice cream sandwiches, then that's all you end up buying and bringing home. You get on social media to watch all of these foodie and cooking channels, and all you see is them cooking fried this, fried that, 3 sticks of butter, 2 cups of sugar, yada, yada, yada. Then all of that makes you want to try all of that stuff at home, but you're not really considering the cost of all of those things and the process that it takes to not only cook it, but the process that your body is going to go through once you consume it. And side note, this shit with all these big back recipes and big back memes and reels, and this big back shit is ungodly. We already went through a process where we watched all of the fat black icons and the fat celebrities and so on and so forth sit in our faces and say, yo, like, my body can't handle this. My doctor is telling me I can't handle this. My heart cannot handle this. And I'm seeing myself go through certain conditions and episodes where I'm realizing myself that I'm struggling more and more and more. So what did they all do? I'm not saying they all went vegan, but you've seen a mass majority of them start to lose all of that weight that they had. So where is this shit coming from? And we think it's okay. This big back shit is ungodly. I'm telling you, it's ungodly. Your soul do not want you out here struggling to get up out the bed, struggling to get off the couch, struggling to get out your car, struggling to walk up a flight of stairs. And we think it's okay. Y'all think it's okay to sit up and dump as much sugar as possible in one pan just to make a sweet potato pie? What the fuck? That shit is not cute at all. And it's a lot of problems that will develop later on down the line because you chose the quick satisfaction of something that's filled with sugar. doing nothing but clogging up your arteries, clogging up the filtration system that's within your body to put the healthy nutrients in the blood, healthy nutrients in the muscles, to make big back reels and big back content on Instagram. I'm telling y'all, your soul don't want you out here unable to move and get out the car with clogged arteries. The things we eat before actually thinking about all of it is what we've learned to do. So it's a learned behavior. And you don't know nothing different other than that. We keep thinking that these types of things are okay, but the truth is that our bodies cannot continue living that way. It doesn't matter how much you look up, oh, it's okay to have meat and it's okay to stuff yourself and force yourself to look like this because a man is supposed to look like this bodybuilder fresh out of high school and you're just 18. It's just like, yo, like, that shit is, I'm telling you, that shit is ungodly, for real. For real. That's so far from the direction that your soul wants to go in. And it's stuff that we was taught. Not stuff we want to do. It's stuff that we was taught, so we believe it's okay. So the next thing that you do is you find people who eat out of rebellion to what they weren't allotted growing up. When we grew up, our parents wasn't out buying chicken, oxtails, lobster, and salmon and cooking all of that on one plate for 5 children. They was not finna be out here buying food just to be buying food. You know what I'm saying? I mean, because first and foremost, who's gonna cook all of that? You gonna look at your kids and be like, yeah, I'm gonna cook y'all all this food. For what? For it to be wasted? That's more than a month's worth of food tossed onto one plate just so you could feel good. Ungodly. Ungodly. So while you getting on social media, cooking an extravagant surf and turf with a side of Alfredo pasta with no greens or vegetables in sight, you eating like this because a part of you feels as though you don't want to experience not having or going hungry. And you don't want to conform to the idea that, let me change that. You don't want to continue existing in the mind frame. I feel like I'm still saying this wrong. You don't want to continue existing in the mind frame that, hey, my parents didn't want me to have these things. Your parents was probably thinking about the amount of money that food cost. They're trying to think about how to feed multiple children if you wasn't the only child. And they trying to think about, not only do I have a job, do I got kids to take care of, but I also got to figure out how to feed these motherfuckers without constantly going to McDonald's in the event that we already got food at home. How can we minimize the costs of food and not have to constantly go back and forth to the grocery store unnecessarily? So these are the people that they eat out of their own traumas because of how they view their parents taking care of them. So you get people that hop up on Instagram, Twitter, wherever you want to share your food content at, and you get these stuffed cornbreads with collard greens and pulled beef, pork, whatever that shit is. Like, I don't eat meat and things like that. So, and I don't find myself trying to recreate 5 meals and then put them all together. You know what I'm saying? I've been teaching myself to cook from scratch. So I'm, 7, 8 years down the line, I'm still trying to figure out how to make it actually like one plate. You know what I'm saying? Without overwhelming myself at the amount of food that's being processed, the amount of food that's sitting on the countertop that got to get put into a pot some way, somehow. So what is you doing making stuffed cornbread with collard greens and lobster tails? What are you doing making a surf and turf Alfredo pasta? That's just what I'm gonna call it, because the Alfredo pasta, when we grew up, and even going to Red Lobster, an Alfredo pasta came with one or two things. It either came with chicken or it came with shrimp, and then it had broccoli inside of it. Y'all out here making these Cajun Alfredo pastas that got shrimp, chicken, beef. Y'all making regular plates that got 3 different meats on them. And for what? With fish on the side of that. How? Y'all ain't even grow up that way. None of us grew up that way. You wasn't over your friend's house watching them take down lobster tails, shrimp, and salmon all on one plate. This is like the extravagant things and luxuries that we experience going out to eat at a restaurant. Restaurants don't even serve shit like that. So what emotional upsets, what traumas are you dealing with that got you cooking like this? And y'all think this shit is okay? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. So you got it's people that, Lord, because it's upsetting when you look at it, and then you want to turn around and be wobbling just walking down the street, wobbling side to side. You ain't nothing but 27 at 120 pounds, and then you're stuck. You got this gut, the skinny gut. You know what I'm saying? You get to this thing where a man's got to be big and a man's got to look strong, but you can't even lift yourself up off the couch. What's strong about that? What's cute about that? That don't make no sense. And to be honest with you, you're not fueling no muscles, because what you doing, playing basketball for an hour? That's your form of working out. You ain't lifting nothing at home. You calling people so they can come put things together for you. You ain't helping nobody cut no grass. You ain't moving things around. You ain't lifting nothing heavy. You're not at the gym. You're just on the side of the court, huffing and puffing because you out of breath after running up and down the court one time. Then right after that, you want to go smoke your cigarette, roll your blunt, and then cook you a triple-decker burger. And it's just you at home, eating for one. What you eat all that for? You not fueling nothing. Except a bad habit and a spirit that don't give a fuck about you getting fat, but just wants the human experience of remembering what food was like. So here comes to my next point. It's not you that's hungry. It's a spirit, or the parasites that are inside you, if you want to look at it from just a physical standpoint. So all around us exist spirits. Some are willing to work with us and help us reach our highest potential. Others want to use us so that they can live out a certain experience. Gluttonous spirits. Glutton, definition meaning one who eats and drinks to excess. Isn't gluttony like one of the 7 sins? Isn't gluttony one of them? Think about that for a bit. Gluttonous spirits will rather use our bodies to eat everything and anything in sight, regardless of how much money you just spent at the grocery store. It wants the food and drink, and it wants it now. When we slip into negative mind spaces, it becomes harder to resist reaching for a bag of chips or grabbing an extra slice of cake. And that's the start to the end. Now all the food is gone, Your stomach is filled beyond its capacity, and you're half asleep because the body has to pour more energy into the act of digestion. Here's what I believe might be one of the more important parts of this whole talk. Spirits do not have physical bodies. So overeating is only going to satisfy them because through you, they have access to grand amounts of food and your energy to feast off of. Human beings have a stomach and a digestive system, which is a physical artifact, where'd that word come from? Which is a physical component of the human body, and it can only handle a certain amount at a time. The conditioning comes from the fact that we even think we need to be eating 3 to 4 times a day. I'm telling you. And this is one more section up after this. When you pay attention to how much your body can really handle, you will realize that, hey, I'm actually good off of 1 meal a day. And when I say 1 meal a day, I mean 1 actual cooked meal. And then maybe throughout the rest of the day, you've got water or some type of fruit juice. And then you're actually eating fruit and berries. A spirit can just go at it. You can't. Alright? You got spirits that passed on and still stay in the negative polarity of lack, not having, of sadness and anger. And the way that they took it out in the real world was that they stuffed themselves with food. And so now, we talked about in the past video of spirits waiting for you to be in a negative vibration so that they can find you and feast off of you. Now, you being used as a vessel to satisfy their quote-unquote hunger. Then now that you done ate through the whole menu of Popeyes, you done ate through $400 worth of groceries, $200 worth of snacks, or fucking Reese cups and marshmallows, and now you want to feel guilty about that shit because you shouldn't have did that. You shouldn't have ate all that food. There's no way in hell you could feel good about yourself after eating all that food. It's not. I understand that back in the day it was viewed, maybe in like Victorian times or something like that. I don't know, way back in the day, it was viewed as a full stomach being somebody that was wealthy. Somebody that's wealthy has their health taken care of. The money that they got is able to be used in much better ways. And we ain't even got to talk about money itself, but we'll just include it in there, rather than wasting money on making sure that they feel good. Food is meant to be eaten as a way to energize the body, to give the body the nutrients that it needs, that it doesn't just make on its own. Digestive enzymes are only available in a limited quantity. So the larger amount of food you eat, the longer it takes to digest. If you overeat frequently over time, this slow digestive process means the food you eat will remain in the stomach for a longer period of time and be more likely to turn into fat. Not only this, but you got a gut that's full of shit. And you trying to figure out why your stomach is not going down after you doing a couple of bicep curls and ab crunches. And you wondering why people get so heavy on needing to detox the stomach, detox the body, detox the blood. Is because, you know, all of that stuff sitting inside your stomach, the parasites that's sitting in there, they're not doing nothing but growing larger and larger. You feeding them. You're not actually receiving none of the benefits of the food, none of the nutrients of the food. The only thing that you're getting is the emotional satisfaction and the egoic satisfaction that you ate for the day and you ate good food. But you didn't eat food that was good for you. You ate food that was good for the spirit. You ate food that was good for the parasite. You ate food that was good for the ego. But you did not eat food that was good for the optimization of the body being able to function properly throughout the day and in this lifetime. In the case of under eating, because we're not gonna throw out, you know, not eating enough food. It's two polarities of the same thing. What's got you so down and out that you lost your appetite? A spirit that wants you to feel that wants to feel the energy of sadness through you. You got people that pass on from anorexia, bulimia, you know, and this idea that, you know, or maybe more in the case of women, the societal idea of needing to be so thin. I don't even know if that's still like a thing. Is that like still a thing anymore? Or like have we completely gotten over the early 2010s craze of everybody trying to be model thin? Like, is that still a thing? Because people don't talk about it no more. I don't think people talk about this whole thing of being, you know, so skinny anymore. I don't know. Maybe it's just my generation. Maybe we just needed to grow up and actually get into our adult bodies. I don't know. So, the act of paying attention so much to what the world wants you to look like that you ignore the almost non-existent nutrient levels that are in your body. You know, spirits are looking for that feeling to sit in. So they're looking for your vessel so that they can magnify and feast off of that energy. If you're the type of person that gets sad and stops eating, not to mention, you know, your emotions are also directly tied to digestion itself anyways, you know. Stress, sadness, things like that, they slow down the process of digestion, and they also lead you to feeling as if you don't need to eat at all. And it's not saying that you don't need to eat. The body has to have some type of nutrients go inside of it. When you begin to ignore that, it is a very emotional thing and a very egoic thing that you choose to pay attention to something that you can, quote unquote, very easily phase out of, you know? You don't have to focus on feeling sad. You don't have to focus on the things that make you feel sad. You have to balance yourself out with the opposite polarity and focus on the things that get you to think in a different direction so that you can balance yourself back out. Now, I'm not saying, you know, try to make yourself feel all happy-go-lucky and ecstatic about life. No, but get yourself to a middle ground where you can think clearly again. Because even on the polarity of sadness and anger, on that opposite polarity, overjoyous and extremely excited, you can't think clearly in that energy as well either. You just be doing shit, you know what I'm saying? To keep that energy going until it crashes down when it's all over. So my last point, conscious eating and mindless eating. So at what point do we begin to pay attention to what our bodies actually need? Not to look a certain way or carry a certain aesthetic, but to make sure our bodies are operating at their most optimum levels. This is conscious eating. And I'm a repeat that in case I said that too fast. Though I know I talk a little. I know I actually talk fairly slow. But not to look a certain way or carry a certain aesthetic, but to make sure our bodies are operating at their most optimum levels. This is conscious eating. You can look on Google and find things of conscious eating, and it was coming back with like, oh, paying attention to how the food makes you feel and eating foods that make you feel good. And no. Because that's still emotional eating. Eating foods that make you feel good. What? Conscious eating is paying attention to how the foods affect your body, being mindful of the types of decisions you make, and eating in a way that it boosts your energy levels, not your happiness, not curing your sadness, but it boosts your energy levels for the time being, and it provides you with a meal that feeds your body the necessary nutrients in order to operate at its most optimum levels, for lack of better words. How does consciously eating help us in life? Well, a multitude of ways. One, we're able to reduce the amount of food we consume by recognizing our limits. We do not eat food so that we feel full and satisfied. We eat food so that our bodies have the energy to power through the day, and we are getting the necessary vitamins, nutrients, minerals, etc., etc., etc. Two, we're able to recognize possible food allergies that we were not originally aware of. When was the last time you went and took a food allergy test? Because I can tell you now, the last time you took a food allergy test was when your mother first gave birth to you. And this is like, what, 9 months to a year or something down the line? Which, like, does not the baby's consent to say, hey, poke me with these needles or swab my mouth or whatever to figure out what I'm allergic to. But you not at the doctor regularly asking me, hey, can I take an allergy test to see what foods my body can't handle? That's something you did as a baby that was done for you. And, God forbid 40 years done passed and you still eating the same way, and you still trying to figure out whether you bloated or not. So you reaching for these gastric X over-the-counter pills to deal with the bloating, rather than actually dealing with the foods that you're eating to prevent the bloating from happening in the first place, or to at least reduce it, You never know the types of allergies that you have, because you could be allergic to white sugar, you could be allergic to yeast, or even certain cooking oils, and not be aware of it. Canola oil, whatever the fuck vegetable oil is, you could very well be allergic to that stuff and not even know. Girl. And 3, we can make better decisions about what to eat based on the ingredients used to make the food. There's a huge difference in how man-made honey buns and cinnamon swirls make you feel versus homegrown peppers and tomatoes. You can completely eradicate the consumption of unnatural foods and stop allowing companies to treat you like a lab rat. If anybody is going to treat you like an experiment, it better be yourself, for your own betterment and curiosity. I know there's a dude on Instagram that I came across a couple times, and he talks about like making sure he's eating enough because he doesn't like his body to look so thin, and making sure that he's like making sure that there's a certain aesthetic that he's carrying, probably because that's just what his idea of what a man is supposed to look like. And the thing is like, his body is naturally a little more on the thin side, but he's forcing his body to look a certain way. Now, his body is telling him like, hey, you can't keep trying to get me to look like this. It's not going to work, and I'm not going to allow it to happen. You can try all you want, but in the event that you get sick and I start telling your ass, hey, you need to lay down in this motherfucking bed, and you wake up 3 days later feeling 150% better than you was when you was sitting over the toilet throwing up because you was sick, and you done lost 15 pounds, and you mean to tell me you're going to go and repeat that process to stuff yourself full of meat and all God knows what so you can look a certain type of way when your body just made you go through a healing and regenerative process to get rid of what it cannot hold on to? That shit, that's a dangerous game right there. Ooh. Like, that's a dangerous game right there. You know what I'm saying? Especially when your body is literally showing you, hey, I can't handle this. And if you keep making me handle this, I'm going to handle you. And I'm going to sit you down, and you're not going to move for 3 days. Like, and let me even speak on myself. Oh, not just a couple years ago, I was the type of person where I would, like, I love pasta, I love noodles. So I would make myself a box of spaghetti, and I would down the whole thing on my own. That's not cute. That's not cute. That's ungodly. I had no business eating a full box of spaghetti to my goddamn self. No business. And then here I am trying to figure out why I'm all bloated, why my stomach feel funky, why I feel like I got to go lay down now. I just downed a whole family size dinner. I ain't nothing but like 130 pounds. You see these little arms? What am I doing eating all that food? And I had to start paying attention, like, you know, whether I choose to start portioning my meals out and, you know, meal prepping or whatever, like, something's got to change because I don't want to continue feeling this way. I've had meals before where I ate only a certain amount and I was good for the whole day. Like I told you, it's like I could eat one or two meals a day. And I'm not talking about breakfast. I'm talking like something for while I'm working and then something at the end of the day. So not eating my first meal until like 1 o'clock, you know? You got people that wake up and, oh, gotta have breakfast, gotta have this, gotta have that. All right, now it's 12 o'clock, it's lunchtime. Now it's dinner time, 6 o'clock, 5:30, gotta have something. All of that is conditioning. We just got done talking about that. You know? It got to a point where I had to sit myself down and say, hey, you can't keep eating like this if you want to feel better. So, eat this food, and before you start to feel full, stop. And I promise you feel way better about yourself. You feel way better about yourself. You'll feel way better about your body, and your body will work in a much better way than it did beforehand. You'll get better rest, better sleep at night, and you won't feel the tiredness that comes from after eating, because like I said, we're not supposed to eat until we feel full. Not supposed to do that. When you start feeling full, it's too late. You eat a nice portion where you feel like you could eat a bit more, and then tell yourself, you know what, I'm gonna just put the rest of this away in the fridge. When you get to a point where, yeah, I feel like I could just have a couple more scoops, stop right there. Just stop. The food gonna be there. The food ain't going nowhere, you know. Save it for the next day. Now you gotta cook less. You can save some, portion some out. In the event that you don't feel like cooking, hey, I didn't eat everything yesterday. That's good. Let me turn this oven on real quick. Let me turn the stove on real quick and reheat it, you know. Now you got another portion that's equal to what you just had. And once again, you're not putting yourself in a situation where you overeating. All right. So the goal is to eat light and drink plenty of fluids. Eat food that is as natural as possible. And this is for people that, you know, I guess like working with the root chakra, working with grounding, and for people that find themselves very much in their head and not so much in the body. You pay attention. You can get in tune with yourself this way by paying attention to how food affects you. By listening to the cues your body is giving you. It's like I said, emotional eating does not. The source of it is not in the stomach. When the stomach gets to growling and saying like, "Hey, I think it's time we have something," it's like, "Okay, stomach, I got you. Let me grab a little something that's healthy for us to power through these next few hours before we actually eat." This one way you can get in tune with yourself by understanding how your body processes foods. It's not just about eating what you like because the taste is great. You know, the great taste is just a plus for what you eat in, you know? We don't want our past conditionings and traumas to rule over our decision making when it comes to food. It's not about what your grandmother used to make or about what society wants you to look like. It's about caring for the vessel you have and making sure that it can do everything it was designed to do without any blockages or interference. Conscious eating. Mindless eating is everything we talked about beforehand. Not caring about the oils you cooking in. Not caring about how many different fucking meats you just tossed on top of the plate. Not caring about, you know, the quantity of the food that you're eating. So the next time you find yourself getting ready to eat, take the time to question, is it me that's really hungry? Check yourself, and when you get to acting out of emotions, don't let them rule over you. Don't turn to eating emotionally, because that it just leads to a whole heaping amount of problems for later on down the line. You have all the power to make better decisions for yourself in the realms of the kitchen, in the realms of going out to eat at restaurants, in the realms of just being out and about and grabbing a snack for yourself because it's your lunch break. All right? Like I said, there's a big difference between some man-made, modified honey buns than a goddamn fried oyster mushroom sandwich, you know? There's a big difference between a surf and turf Alfredo pasta and a regular portion size pasta that only has one meat or just vegetables inside of it, and then maybe like a side salad, you know? And I know, you know, you say salad, people don't be getting down with salads. Your taste buds is just gonna have to grow up. I'm gonna be honest with you. This is coming from somebody that I grew up and I was very picky about the foods that I ate. And on my journey of learning to cook, going plant-based, I've done nothing but expand the list of foods that I love to eat. You know? It's a big difference between a person that grows up only eat it's a big difference between the list of foods you eat only consisting of burgers beefaroni and fucking Reese cups versus somebody that's much more geared and able to eat a salad or a pasta salad, you know, a sandwich that's not just fucking filled with sauces and cheese and meat, you know? I don't even know if I said that right, but it sounded right in my head before I actually spoke it. So yeah, like I said, is it you that's really hungry? Question that. Are you eating emotionally? Are you eating just because you trying to make some content to... Because at the end of the day, a fucking stuffed cornbread with collard greens inside of it and beef tips, that ain't doing shit but telling the whole world, hey, I have traumas that I have not gotten over, and food is my way of dealing with it. Because, bitch, you don't need all that food, and that meal you made don't make no goddamn sense. Your grandmother would have never fed you no shit like that. Your mother, your father would have never fed you no shit like that. And here you are sitting in my face on Instagram talking about this one of the best things the black community have made. You need the shit slapped out of you. But hey, I digress. That's what I got for y'all, alright? Make some better food choices and your body will feel 10 times fucking better. I promise you.